This happened nearly a year ago today, when I was around 14 or 15 years old. Since I've been lurking around this subreddit for a while, I figured it was a good idea to post my own encounter. Around September 2014, some local couple's dog had gone missing. They were an elderly couple, and it was pretty sad because in the area of the South that I live, your dog is your family. Every day I would go out and walk the roads near the couple's house and would search for them. At the time, a red car with an old man would also drive around the same roads, and I assumed it was the husband out looking for the dogs as well. He'd pass by me maybe 15 to 20 times during my walk and then leave. November came, and by now everyone had figured that the dogs were dead. Probably got hit by a car sometime and no one came forward. One day, I was sitting out by the curb messing with some plants, and I had noticed from the corner of my eye that the red car was circling the street. He'd been passing by for roughly 45 minutes, making U-turns to drive by me. And being the type of person I am, I pretended that I didn't notice so that he'd leave me alone. It was getting on my nerves. Until suddenly he came flying down the wrong side of the street, nearly hitting another car. He asked me if I needed a ride, to which I politely declined. "You look lost. Are you sure you don't need a ride?" It was uncomfortable. He kept pressing me to get in the car. "No, actually I live right there, but thank you for the offer." He smiled at me before driving away. I went inside and told my mother about it, how odd it was for the guy to just ask if I needed any help when he knew where I lived. My mother asked what I meant by this. I told her, that couple, the husband has a red car, doesn't he? My mother's face went from confusion to concern. "No, their car is white." My mom asked me about all the times I'd seen this car, and shockingly, when I put the pieces together from all the walks I had taken, I realized that every single walk starting from July, I had seen that red car pass me. Every single time. He had been watching me for months, and when I thought back, I remember him asking me if I needed a ride in August. We ended up calling the police on the man, and as soon as I described to the officers what he and his car looked like, they immediately knew who it was. For nearly 30 years, this dude had been preying on young girls, asking them for rides, and trying to bribe them with drugs for sex. It was disgusting. The county ended up dropping on the stalking charges, claiming he wasn't aware of his actions all those times. But I know that's not true. I'm always wary of red cars when I take walks now. I slept in my brother's room for nearly a month afterwards, because I was scared that he'd try to get revenge. I used to travel a lot when I was 18, and would hang out with this girl called Lisa. She worked in a little shop next to the train station, and I would keep her company. One day, I was in the shop with her, and this man who I'd never seen, and who looked like a bodybuilder, started hanging around there. He introduced himself and said he worked at the car wash. I think he had a hard-on for Lisa, but Lisa only liked girls. For some reason, the car wash guy took a disliking to me. I can only imagine that it was due to the fact that Lisa and I used to hang out a lot, and he was jealous. I started getting these strange, deranged phone calls where he would scream and shout and rant down the phone. Most of these were saved on my voicemail. The next time I saw a car wash guy, he chased me into the staff room and pinned me against the wall. After this, things only got worse, and I began to realize that he was mentally disturbed. The next time I saw him, he tried to prevent me from getting onto the train to get back home. The cops came and talked to him while I got the heck out of there. But this would only piss him off even more. The next time I saw him, he followed me onto the train and back to my hometown, where my friends were waiting as I texted them in advance to warn them that I was being stalked. He followed me off of the train and walked behind me about 500 yards down the road where, luckily, my friends were waiting. and like a coward, he ran away and I never saw him again. So, creepy car wash guy, let's not meet again. So, let me preface this by saying that when I was in college, I spent a lot of time talking to men on the internet. It felt safer and less of a waste of time to get to know somebody on a website rather than in real life. Well, one day I was talking to a guy on one of the various internet sites I frequented, and we were discussing the usual. What school I went to, what I majored in, was I single, what I was looking for. I told him my school name and that I lived near campus alone. At the time, I enjoyed living alone and felt pride at being so young and able to be independent. We chatted some more and he started asking more questions about where I lived. At this point, I probably made an unwise choice, telling him the intersecting street names. I did not give him my actual address or the apartment number, and he seemed satisfied with my answer. We kept chatting randomly, and he asked if I wanted to meet him. I told him I had class in the morning, and I would think about it and talk to him tomorrow. I signed out at around 8 or 9 p.m. I woke up later that evening, at about 11 p.m. I had a friend who worked the night shift. She would come over after work sometimes, even if I had asked her not to, and it was not out of the ordinary for her to arrive at midnight or later. So I was in bed, pretty much asleep, when I heard a banging on my door. All I could think was, oh my god, this bitch again. But I laughed, put on pants, and went to the door. I didn't bother with the people, since no lights outside, so I can really look through it. And I lived at the very, very top of a house, with its separate entrance and set of outdoor stairs. I was never really afraid up there because you had to purposely find me. No one ever came to my house by accident. Anyways, I got to the door and flung it open, ready to cuss her out, and it wasn't her. It was a man in a light army jacket, and he walked right past me and into my house. He said, "I've been walking all night. Surprise!" There were stairs directly behind my door, leading up to the main apartment, and he walked up to him. I followed behind him, not quite as scared as I should have been, but definitely bewildered. When I got to the top of the stairs, he was sitting on my bed. He said, "Don't you recognize me?" And at that moment, I did. He was a guy I'd been chatting with. I felt panic welling up inside of me from the pit of my stomach. I couldn't move. He explained that he had walked 7 miles to get to my house after we stopped chatting in order to surprise me. I asked him how he knew which apartment was mine. He said that he asked a neighbor, and he told him that it was apartment number 3. I was in complete what the fuck mode, and I didn't know what to do. He had a strange look in his eye, and he was dressed like a drug-driving gamer. He was also sitting on my bed, uninvited, and I couldn't even remember his name. I decided to play it very, very cool, and went to sit beside him. I said, "Oh my god, that is a long walk. Why did you come all that way just to surprise me?" My logic being that I would treat this like a normal situation, not a fucking creeper stalker let me rape you situation, and get him out of my house as soon as I could. We had a full conversation for about 30 minutes, and then I slowly started dropping hints about needing to go to bed because I had class in the morning. He didn't even seem disappointed. I thanked him for coming and being so thoughtful, and promised him I'd talk to him later, and he left. I locked the door and went upstairs and had a good cry. I felt so stupid and I was angry with myself. Anything could have happened to me. He could have killed me or robbed me or I don't know. I got online and sent him a message that basically said, "Don't you ever fucking come to my house again. That was terrifyingly creepy and you are dangerously close to catching charges should you ever contact me again." Then I blocked him. I didn't go to the police. I had no plan to. I was more concerned that they would think it was my fault and I would be so damn embarrassed. So, creepy midnight walker, let's not meet again. Thanks for watching another True Scary Stories from Reddit. I very much apologize to you guys for this one being so short. It sometimes takes me a while to make these videos due to me having to wait for the Reddit authors to give me permission. If any of you guys have any scary stories of your own or any creepy encounters that may have happened to your friends, feel free to send them to the email that's going to be in the description below. Have a great night, everybody, and as always, stay safe.